Hello, everybody. So, today marked the last episode for the first season of My Hero Academia's anime, and I'm here to give you my final thoughts on everything and just talk about it for a bit. Please keep in mind that this is just my opinion. Like most of my videos, they're just opinion pieces. Also, I'm a huge fan of the My Hero Academia manga. So I had high hopes going into this anime, and I'm saying all this in preparation for what I'm about to say. But if you're the kind of person that really enjoyed this series and can't take harsh criticism of something you enjoy, then I have something for you to do, a little task I'd like you to accomplish. Just follow along with what I'm saying and do it right after I say it, okay? First, I'm going to want you to grab hold of your mouse or put your hand on your trackpad and navigate the mouse to where it's underneath the video. First, you should also make sure the video is not in full screen. But you're going to want to navigate to underneath the video and towards the right of it. There you will see two icons. You'll see a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Now, like I said, if you're someone who takes criticism that's negative towards something that you enjoy very harshly, then I suggest that you hit the button that is a thumbs down. And right afterwards, I want you to X off of this video. And if you're subscribed, I'd also like you to unsubscribe, because that's not the kind of viewer base that I would like to have. The kind of viewer base I'd like to have is people that can give their honest opinion about things and discuss it properly, rather than just flaming another individual. So, by now, you're all gone, so excellent. And if you're still here, then there's still hope, You're not that bad. So, I'm going to get into it. Right off the bat, I'm going to lay it out for you. I was not too happy with this adaptation. Now, it was a faithful adaptation. Everyone, all the fans and stuff would keep telling me that, oh, well, this is them adapting every single panel of the manga and every single bit of dialogue. It's pretty much the manga, except it has fucking voice acting and music and all that. It's so good. And this line of thought has led me to start considering what really makes a worthwhile and a solid adaptation from a manga. And I believe that I've found an answer to this. Now, this isn't the only thing you can do to make a worthwhile adaptation. There's certainly other ways. But I certainly know what you shouldn't do after watching this. You cannot just take a panel from the manga and then just lay it out full screen on an anime and just keep doing that for each individual panel. The way things are laid out in a manga is supposed to represent its pertinence to the scene that's going on, which is why for large action sequences, when you may get like a punch, a really big punch that gets thrown, hits the dude right in the face, it may take up a majority of the page, and then in a small corner you might see someone giving a brief comment on what's happened or something like that. Now, when you're reading the manga, that brief comment is almost instantaneous. But when you adapt that to anime, at least how they would adapt it in My Hero Academia's case, is that brief comment would take up like 10 to 15 seconds of your time and just really break up the fight, and just it takes you out of it. And that's not something you should do. The main focus should always be the fight, not some guy that's talking. And majority of the time, this is also the case with JoJo's as well, a majority of the time these little comments are used to help the reader understand what's going on, because some things just are hard to depict in a visual novel format with still images and stuff. There will also be times in the My Hero Academia manga where they'll fucking relate back to something that had already happened, be it a line of dialogue, some action that occurred, something. And what they'll do is again, in a small panel off to the side, they'll just clump it all together. They'll clump all the important details together, and and again, I just burped right there. This kind of thing just goes by instantaneously. You just brush it over. It's like, okay, that happened. They're showing me that happened. But in the My Hero Academia anime, this is a brilliant time to cut corners on the budget for a show that is only 13 episodes long, being done by a pretty big studio, Studio Bones. Studio Bones generally doesn't fuck around, and they reuse all this footage because it's, they're adapting the manga panel by panel. It comes off as absolute laziness. It honestly bordered on some stuff Naruto's been pulling, with Studio Period, and we know how lazy they can be with their adaptation because they just don't want Naruto to fucking end. But in the case with this anime, you would get flashbacks to things that happened 2 minutes ago. And I don't care if you're a goldfish, you're gonna still remember that and just be like, okay, let's keep fucking going. What's gonna happen next? I don't need to know what happened 5 minutes ago. You don't need to tell me. I get it. And like I just said, this was 13 episodes done by quite a big studio. Now, I know they were doing another project during this time, that being Bungo Stray Dogs. I also gave my final thoughts on it, and I thought that was just a much better anime than this. It was similar animation all the way around, and yes, they did have some flashbacks here and there, but it wasn't just constant. It wasn't these long flashbacks that occurred all the time. And when action happened, action continually happened. And that is simply not the case with this anime. And you can't give me the excuse that they didn't have much material to go off of, because they've already announced a season 2 is going to happen soon. And you want to know why? Because they haven't even covered a fourth of the manga. They've covered like half, maybe, of the manga that you can currently purchase in America in volumes. But of course, there is much more of that, that's available in Japan. Much more. So that's just my rant on the overall adaptation of this series. I'm going to go into a little bit more depth with things now, but if that left a bad taste in your mouth or whatever, feel free to leave. I'm just going to get more into the actual series now. I suppose we should start with the overall presentation of this anime. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I liked the opening. I thought the opening was solid. The opening looked really nice with its animation and its visuals in general, just the artwork. I thought it looked pretty damn good, especially like the money shot that they give, which is customary in most action anime openings. They give you the money shot that their budget and effort went into, and that looked really good. The song itself also pretty solid. There wasn't anything spectacular about the song itself, but it did its job. I can't complain too much about that. The animation for most of the series, to be honest, was fairly lackluster. I just went into my rant earlier how they cut corners quite a bit. They really did, with breaking up the action, showing pretty much stilled manga panels, or just having things not move very much. They'll move, but there's only a few frames that actually occur in that time span. I'll give you this though. The first 2 episodes and episode 12 had fantastic looking moments, and most episodes had brief periods of time where they looked okay. It was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And I find it funny how I heard someone refer to this as Bones' declaration of war against Madhouse for the work that they did on One Punch Man. And I have to say that was a puny declaration of war, because it had its moments, but those moments were still relatively brief and scarce. That being said, the fight with All Might and Nomu was pretty damn great. it made me happy to see that they did that. That's what I wanted more of throughout this series. Unfortunately, we did not get it, but I can concede that that was a very well done action scene that added on to the source material rather than just doing it panel for panel. Voice acting was solid all around for the most part. My favorite roles going to Bakugo, All Might, and Ida. I thought that their voice actors did an absolutely great job. Midoriya's was fine, typical main character voice. There wasn't anything wrong with that. Not much I can say that's bad about it, but I don't think he stood out too much compared to those other three roles I mentioned. Soundtrack, the only one that really stuck out to me, to be honest, was All Might's theme. That's really the only one that stuck out to me. As for the story and the characters themselves, I don't have anything really bad to say about it other than the way it was portrayed in this adaptation. But the story itself is solid. I really enjoy the first fight against the villains, and I also appreciated how they finished off this anime, not only confirming the second season, but also giving a sneak preview as to what's to come, with that one villainous-looking guy atop the building staring off into the cityscape. That guy. He's cool as hell. He's something to look forward to in the second season. And, it's hard for me to really judge the story of an anime for a manga I've already read, because I enjoy it already. It's why I got into this anime in the first place. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's solid. Again, Bakugo and All Might showing up as my favorites in terms of characters as well. I love All Might's, just him as a character, his conception and everything. He's just the stereotypical Superman, superhero dude, but there's more to him, and I love that he just tries to be that, smiling symbol of justice. Wonderful, or rather, symbol of peace. And Bakugo just being the biggest dickhole ever, because that's just who he is. He's our dickhole, he's always at a 10. He's just, even Kirishima comments on it. He's like, I thought you were always just freaking out, telling people to die and all that shit. It's great. I love those characters. Midoriya is also one of my favorite shonen main characters of all time, because rather than being this guy that's just, he's there. Well, he is there at the right time in one instance, but for the most part, he's very active. He's figuring out, what are we going to do in this situation? How am I going to improve? This kind of thing. He's very proactive. He likes to get shit done. He gets shit done. And he only gets better as the series progresses, which is, again, why anime-onlys should be hyped for the second season. So all that's left at this point is my concluding thoughts and my recommendations. So, concluding thoughts on the series. This anime was overhyped, to be real with you. It's slow pacing, it's animation overall, with some real just sly tactics that they use to cut corners. Really just leaves a bad taste in my mouth overall. Yeah, it's a pretty faithful adaptation if you think that showing every single panel of a manga exactly how it is in anime format is the correct way to adapt something, then sure, this is it. That's what this is. As far as recommendations go, if you haven't read the manga and you don't want to read the manga and you'd like to check this out, this is worth checking out. There are still some worthwhile moments in there, and the story itself is still a nice one. If you've seen the manga, though, and you're thinking, do I want to check out this adaptation, go to the 12th episode about halfway through, and you'll be able to watch the only really good fight that this season had to offer, which is All Might versus Nomu. You watch that, you'll enjoy yourself. The rest of it, you might as well take a nap through it. It's incredibly slowly paced. Not much happens per episode. if you're looking to get into anime and want a nice shonen that's, recently made, this is also something you may want to check out, although I would say you should probably go more towards the Hunter x Hunter route if you want a recent shonen, or if you want a good shonen, Yu Yu Hakusho is always there as well. If you want a longer one, Gintama's there. There's a lot of better options for shonen anime out there than this. Other examples also include JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and One Punch Man. So that's it, guys. On just a final note, I was harsh with this final thoughts, but I want you to know that it came from a place of love. I can't stress enough how much I do enjoy the source material. This is one of my favorite manga to come out in recent years. It not even being 100 chapters long yet. It's almost there, but it's not there yet. And it pains me to see that it went in this direction for its anime, and maybe in the second season they can correct some of this and provide us with some better animation and pacing. That's only to be seen. And note that it actually hurts me to say this about the anime adaptation for something that I enjoy so much. So that does it for this episode, or this video, guys. Let me know what you thought below. Again, remember to dislike this if you're some pansy-ass bitch that can't take a negative comment. And have yourselves a wonderful day.